So you just finished editing your tracks. They sound great. You have to send them off to the mixing engineer. How do you go about doing that? Stick around and I will tell you how after the cool music. The first thing you should do before you send your sessions off to your mixing engineer is do a backup. And the way you could do this is I recommend doing a save copy. And if you're a Pro Tools user, not a save as, a save copy. And what that does is it takes your session and it creates a whole brand new folder. And we're going to work on this session to get ready for the mix. So save copying, and then you have all your edits aside. That way, if you end up deleting a file that you think you don't need and then turns out you do need it and you have to go back, but you're not totally screwed. Let's take that new save copying folder and we're just going to call that song title mix prep. Okay, so now that we made a save copying folder of our session, a duplicate of our session, we're going to work out of that one and then you can archive the other one. Anyways, open up your session. The next thing you should be doing is double check all your edits. Make sure your crossfades are good. Make sure all your fades are good. There's no sloppy editing. You don't want to consolidate everything, send it off to a mixing engineer and having a bunch of clicks and pops. Now that we're confident that the edits are good, we're going to consolidate all the tracks down to 0. And that means we're basically going to make sure all the tracks are starting at the same place. This is assuming that the mixing engineer isn't using the same DAW that I'm using. If that was the case, then I can probably just send them the Pro Tools session folder with all the audio tracks and they can keep working. But in this case, I'm just going to play it safe and I'm going to consolidate all the tracks down to 0. That way when he imports all the tracks into his session, they all line up and he doesn't have to guess where it's going. Because, yeah, that's not cool. So if you're doing this in Pro Tools, basically you're going to highlight all the tracks, make sure that the highlight's starting at 0, and then you're going past the longest track that you have. That way everything's covered, and then you go into edit, and then you go down to consolidate. And there you go. It's going to balance all the tracks. You're going to get a new region that's going to extend across the whole thing. They should all be starting at the same place, and you're ready to go. Once the consolidation's done, let's double check the names. Naming the files is so important because if you just send audio 1, audio 2, audio 3 to the mixing engineer, you are a jerk. So let's put on our big boy pants and let's go through and make sure the names are proper. You can keep the session names the way they are if you did name the tracks initially. You might notice you might have like a regional indicator, like a number that goes up. So you might have kick 03_37. You could do that, or I like to rename the track and just take it a little step further. A really cool tidbit is use a number system, especially when you're exporting to another person to mix. So you can go like 01 kick and then 02 snare. Start with the 01, 02 and then work your way down, number all the tracks. This way when they drag and drop it into their folder, it will line up all your tracks the way your session is. So that's just a nice little side thing you could do. But make sure you do have the instrument name there. Maybe a song title might be helpful too, or some kind of song indicator. That way, if a folder gets moved or dropped in another folder, it's not just a bunch of kick 1, kick 2, kick 3, kick 4. It's going to be easy to organize. A window will pop up. It's going to ask you sample rate, bit depth. Set those at whatever you set your session at initially. It's going to ask file output, so WAV, AFF. I normally select WAV. AFF is also good too. Those are two universal file formats. Yeah, I would recommend WAV because that's what everybody else on the internet recommends. You're also going to select a destination folder, so click on there, click on the folder. You're going to then create a new folder somewhere where you're going to find it. You can either do it in your session file. I always do it on my desktop. So open up new folder and then I name it song title, mix session. I normally put the tempo in there and then sample rate and bit depth. I use big titles because the more information, the easier it is for everyone. But it's up to you. Just be organized. Double check, make sure all the audio tracks are there. Some people will just reopen it in a new session. However, you have to do it to make sure everything's good because it's annoying when you get a session and we're missing like half the drum kit and the vocals aren't there. Then you want to make sure that you compress the folder so all your files are in one workable file. You can do this on a Mac by right-clicking and compressing, or you can use something like WinZip. And then once that's zipped, you can send that off however you choose. You can use Dropbox, Google Drive, you can use WeTransfer. Yeah, multiple things too. Make sure that you are creating a print of that, so you're literally recording the output from an auxiliary onto a new audio track. And this way the mixing engineer has that available. I also recommend you can send a text file of some kind that just kind of gives an outline, and even a couple reference tracks really can help a mixing engineer as well, just to kind of know what you're going for. So normally I would recommend to my clients, give me a couple tracks that you really like that I can listen to and use as a reference. Any notes that they have. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing more of these videos, and I hope this helps, and take care.